My 2 cents. My Washington Wizards. It's been a rough year. The Wizards, we're in rebuild year. And the execs have been told by Ted Lioness that this rebuild has to happen. And we need picks. We don't have enough. On a recent episode of ESPN's Hoop Collective with Brian Windhorst, reported that the Washington front office has been given a mandate from ownership to acquire as many first-round picks as possible, at least one. And they have to do this. It's a mandate. There's no question about it. So it has been rumored that they have Tyus Jones, Kyle Kuzma, Daniel Gafford, and Jordan Poole all available for trade. And little rumors of Deni Avdija and Tyus Jones. Now, Jones is on an expiring deal. Kuzma's and Gafford and Poole are old guys who have multiple years left on their deal. I personally think Tyus Jones is a consolidation prize for the Lakers. If they strike out on all their deals, do not be surprised if Gabe Vincent and Jalen Hood-Schifino are packaged for Tyus Jones. That is a good deal for them in terms of what they would get back. I could see a team, Daniel Gafford, there are a few teams that need a backup center that could go out and get him. I could also see a team trying to convince the Portland Trailblazers to use Robert Williams' salary to send Daniel Gafford to them, and then a whole 3-team trade of using salary fillers to move some contracts around the way. So a team could acquire Gafford and the Wizards take Robert Williams as a reclamation project as he comes back from knee surgery. I think there are a lot of avenues for one of these players or multiple of these players to be traded away in compensation for a first-round pick as a third team in a deal that would, help facilitate a deal for a team like the Lakers, the Heat, maybe the Phoenix Suns, many others that I do think would have interest in talking to the Wizards and giving them compensation of a pick, maybe even the Oklahoma City Thunder if they're really trying to get their game up. All right, and the final thing that I want to talk about today is we talked about earlier that the Wizards have a mandate to trade for a first-round pick. But we're hearing that Tyus Jones is drawing trade interest, and we've talked about this before, that I do believe that Tyus Jones is a guy that is looking at a consolidation prize. If teams can't get Malcolm Brogdon or DeJounte Murray, like the Lakers, they might just trade Gabe Vincent with Jalen Hood-Schifino and a second-round pick, or like Max Christie or something like that for Tyus Jones, which that's not a bad deal. I could see a team like the Brooklyn Nets go out and get him. Maybe a team like the Hornets trade us a pick, and we trade him like Tyus Jones and for a pick and Kyle Lowry for Tyus Jones and somebody else. I think that could realistically be a deal. We could convince some teams to give us guys like Joe Harris on the Pistons for a draft pick compensation. I think there are multiple avenues for Tyus Jones to happen, but the bigger thing is that Deni Avdija trade could happen, and I think there's a lot of teams like the Miami Heat, like the Dallas Mavericks that are looking at Deni Avdija, a guy who's playing 28 minutes a night, scoring 12.5 points, which is a career high, shooting a career high 50% from the field, shooting a career high 37% from 3 on like 4 or 5 attempts a game, grabbing a career high 6.5 boards, dishing out a career high 4 assists a night, and having a steal a game, and providing sound defense. He's 23 years old. And the thing is the 6'9", 220-pound combo forward at this point is like developed into a massive point forward who's 6'9", 215, 220 pounds. He's like incredibly good at secondary playmaking and creating for others. He's a solid ball handler who never gets ripped, never turns the ball over. Dude, he can run the pick and roll or be like the roller in the pick and roll sometimes, or the popper. I wouldn't tell him the role of the basketball, a pick and pop situation. Shown that he's been incredibly coachable. Like, he was not a good defensive player, but because he's so coachable, he's become a good defensive player. And his jumper has become legit. The upside's amazing. And yeah, he's an average athlete who lacks that high-end quickness, but he's shown that it doesn't hurt him defensively because of how hard he tries. Making this season $6.2 million. He signed an extension this offseason of, I believe the contract specifically that he signed is, I want to say, I don't know why the contract is not popping up, but his contract that he signed was a 4-year, $55 million deal, and it's going to be paying him basically starting next year. Next year he'll be making, I want to confirm this, $15.6 million. So the trade kicker you have to assume is 100%. So if you're trading for him, he makes 6.2 this year. So you'd have to trade $12.5 million to get him. And I think a team like the Heat are somebody to keep an eye out. I think the bigger threat is the Mavericks. The Mavericks would love Denny Avdia, but the Heat, if they were willing to package like Nikola Jovic with Thomas Bryant and Caleb Martin, I think you could convince the Wizards to move on from him. I don't think he's the best fit right there. But he's a guy. I think the better fit is Dallas. The more I think of it, Dallas would love him, and they might move on from Grant Williams to do that deal, or maybe they look at Rashawn Holmes, a pick, and Jaden Hardy as a way to get that deal done. And I really like the idea of Kyrie, Luka, Grant Williams, Derek Lively, Josh Green, Denny Avdia all being in a rotation with each other. It's fucking fantastic.